Why would a perfect God create anything? This is one of those questions that doesn't just nibble at the edge of theology, it slices straight into the core of existence itself. Why did God create anything at all? Why a universe filled with swirling galaxies, collapsing black holes, and cosmic silence? Why tsunamis and tremors, malaria and madness, sunsets and symphonies, and synaptic breakdowns? Why us? The faithful, still clutching their belief in a supreme being, keep searching for answers. But for over 2 millennia, the heavens have been disturbingly quiet. No booming voice from the clouds, no stone tablets, no burning bushes or unmistakable miracles. It feels, if we're honest, like God has been on holiday since antiquity, phone switched off, email bouncing back. And so we're left, speaking into silence, asking the question that hangs over every act of worship and doubt alike. What was the point? To get to the bottom of this, we have to start with the claim that God is perfect. Not just good, perfect, infinite, necessary, lacking in nothing. The theist might insist on this. It's part of what makes God, well, God. But here's the rub. Something that is truly perfect wouldn't lack anything. And something that lacks nothing doesn't need anything. No desires, no gaps to fill, no unfinished business, no cravings, no curiosity, not even a reason to act. So now the tension becomes obvious. If God, specifically the Christian or omni-God version, existed in a perfect state, alone, lacking nothing, then there would be no internal motivation, no driving force, no reason to create a universe at all. Creation itself becomes suspicious. In fact, the very act of creating something separate, something imperfect, would be a kind of divine downgrade. Let's walk through this logically. We'll call the pre-creation state of God, God world. It's the hypothetical condition of reality in which only God exists. No stars, no souls, no time, no matter, just a perfect being, infinitely complete, eternally self-sufficient. According to this reasoning, 1, if the Christian God exists, then God world is the unique best possible world. 2, if God world is the best, a morally perfect God would preserve it. 3, but God world isn't reality, because something else exists, namely us. 4, therefore, the Christian God, as traditionally defined, does not exist. Let's sit with that for a moment. In God world, where nothing exists but God, purity is maximal. No entropy, no moral failure, no ontological dilution. But the moment anything else is created, humans, trees, angels, bacteria, what happens? That ontological purity is compromised because no created being could match God's infinite attributes. Anything that is not God automatically reduces the average quality of existence. The addition of lesser beings necessarily makes reality less perfect overall. Think of it like adding a smear of mud to a pristine white canvas and calling it an improvement. You don't elevate perfection by adding imperfection. If God is perfect and the pre-creation state was perfect, then creating us, imperfect, fragile, morally muddled creatures, is either irrational or impossible. Unless, of course, God isn't perfect. But that would shatter the definition of the divine altogether. And here's another layer to the paradox: decision-making. Theists often speak of God deciding to create the universe, but deciding requires a timeline. It implies weighing options, evaluating outcomes, shifting from one mental state to another. All of that requires time. But before the universe existed, there was no time. Because time, as far as we know, is a function of space and matter. It began with the Big Bang. So how does a timeless being change its mind? How does it decide? How does it even act? If God is outside of time, then God cannot deliberate, can't weigh options, can't experience before and after. And if God can deliberate, then God is subject to time, and thus not timeless. Either way, the theistic account collapses. A being that reasons, chooses, or changes its state requires sequence. Sequence requires time. Time requires the universe. And the universe, according to the narrative, didn't exist yet. This is more than a technicality. It's a fundamental contradiction. To put it simply, decision implies a kind of lack. A moment before the choice was made, where the situation wasn't yet resolved. But a being that knows everything, including the outcome of all actions, has nothing to calculate. And if God simply does whatever its nature programs it to do, then it isn't making decisions at all. It's functioning like a cosmic machine, like a computer, one that runs deterministically and unreflectively. We don't call that free will. We don't even call it intelligence. We call it automation. So we arrive at the stark conclusion: there is no coherent way that omni-God, defined as perfect, eternal, unchanging, and omniscient, would choose to create anything at all. And yet here we are, in a universe filled with quasars and mosquitoes, grief and love, logic and lunacy. Here we are, pondering meaning, doubting miracles, burying our dead, making art, and asking again and again, why? The very act of creation seems to contradict the very nature of the being said to have created it. Unless, of course, the being never existed to begin with. Unless creation was never a choice. Unless the silence we've heard for the last 2,000 years isn't silence at all, but the echo of something that was never there. So the next time someone asks, why would God create us? Consider turning the question around. Why would a perfect God create anything at all? If you found this exploration thought-provoking, subscribe for more deep dives into the questions that shape belief, doubt, and everything in between. And if you'd like to support this channel, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or sending a one-time gift via PayPal. Your support helps keep these conversations alive.